Good evening and welcome. It's nice to see so many neighbors in the crowd. Absolutely. I'm Jenny Fleming. I'm a resident, a Winfield business owner, and a member of the Greater Winfield Chamber of Commerce. I'm going to speak on behalf of our 2026 president, Julie Micklin, who couldn't be here this evening. I wanted to say thank you to the village for asking us to partner on this community event. It's so important that we all stay informed, and to the Park District for allowing us to use this beautiful event space. Thank you. The Greater Winfield Chamber of Commerce has been around about 10 years. We have members mostly from Winfield, but we're Greater Winfield, so Carroll Stream, Wheaton, West Chicago, Warrenville. We have residents that live in Winfield, but their businesses are elsewhere, and we invite them to be a member. Our board is made up entirely of volunteers, and it's 12 tirelessly working volunteers that bring events like networking meetings, evening socials, and educational events for our members, so that we can network, support each other, promote each other, and we also attend each other's events. So for example, Good Old Days, and we support by volunteering, or perhaps the school's 5K run, and we have a member table there. A lot of opportunity for our members to get out in the community and show their faces. And then what the chamber does for the community is the Monday night cruise nights. They start in June, July, and August. It's great. We have up to 100 classic cars up by the Walgreens in Prairie Trail Center. It's become quite a fest. We have a DJ, and then we allow our members, our chamber members, to have a table there. They can promote their business and interact with the community. So that's 12 Mondays this summer. And then we have a fall art festival on the south side of the tracks to promote the businesses on the south side of the tracks. And then additionally, we do trick-or-treating. So safe trick-or-treating back up by Walgreens in that Prairie Trail Center, Haunted Prairie Trail. And the community has really started loving it. Hundreds and hundreds of parents and toddlers who enjoy the fact that they can trick-or-treat safely and not on the streets. And so that's been a really great event so that we can give back to the community that supports our small businesses. So thank you again for having us this evening and for letting us sponsor this event. I'd like to introduce our village president, Carl Sorgatz, who's going to speak to us about the state of the village.
Thank you, Jenny. Good afternoon, everybody. Glad you could join us this afternoon, and welcome to the 2026 Annual State of the Village Address. And I want to give a special thank you to the Greater Winfield Chamber of Commerce for sponsoring today's event, and to the Park District for allowing us to host it here. Let me say it's an honor and privilege to serve the residents of Winfield. And I'm also very happy to report to you today that the state of the village of Winfield is strong. And first off, I'm going to address our fiscal status as of 2026. Like many municipalities, the village continues to face the challenges of providing services to residents while also facing threats to revenue sources and any potential impact resulting from the state's ongoing financial challenges. The village has taken a number of steps over the past several years to improve its financial condition, to withstand potential economic uncertainty. And the village continues to operate with a lean staff and is working to identify new revenue sources. This includes a focus on development opportunities along the Roosevelt Road and St. Charles Road corridors and Town Center. Revenue growth and the diligent management of village expenditures will continue to be the focus in future years in order to maintain service levels and necessary infrastructure improvements throughout the village. Here are some examples of how we have maintained a strong financial footing. Winfield was upgraded to a high-grade Moody's bond rating of AA1 in 2025. And this rating, second only to AAA, is one of the highest bond ratings given to municipalities. Taxpayers will save money because of the village's lower borrowing costs for capital expenses. And we've maintained a balanced budget and met our 25% minimum reserve fund requirements per village policy. We've kept our low property tax rate at 4% on average, and that's one of the lowest municipal tax rates in DuPage County. We've kept our the continuation of the CDH grant agreement through our partnership with Northwestern Medicine CDH, and that means sustained revenue support to address ever-increasing costs. We've increased sales tax generation through commercial development six-fold since 2021 to now over $3 million, but that growth needs to continue. Commercial development is the key for growing revenue and staving off the property tax increase. And two cases in point are Amazon and Casey's. These two developments were last assessed at $7,750,000 in combined EAV, or equalized assessed value. And together they will produce $645,000 in real estate taxes collected by all taxing bodies in 2026. They also account for a large portion of the increase in sales taxes. Because of those developments, School District 94, Wichita High School, over the last 6 years has received just under $700,000 in real estate tax revenue, with no new students from these developments. And that's the importance of commercial development and what it contributes to all taxing bodies in the community. Our award-winning finance department, led by Connie Kravitz, has continued the commitment to excellence in the budgeting and financial disclosure process for the Village of Winfield. And here are a few examples. The GFOA is the Government Finance Officers Association, and the awards they give out for Audit Award, we've won that 31 consecutive years. A Budget Award, 22 consecutive years. A PAFR Award, which is the Popular Annual Financial Report, 10 consecutive years. So that speaks to the hard work and processes that we have in place relative to budgeting and that whole process that we go through. Through the diligence of our finance director, we have substantially increased our investment rate of return also, which will contribute to holding the line on the property tax increase. And the village also recently hired an asset management firm to manage a significant portion of the village's investment portfolio, which will increase the rate of return even more. But there are always financial and fiscal challenges, and as a non-home rule municipality, we also face our share, both now and in the future. And here's a few of those challenges. LGDF. So you wonder, what is LGDF? It's Local Government Distributed Fund. This revenue sharing policy with local governments receiving a percentage of total income tax collections through LGDF was provided to local governments in lieu of allowing the imposition of local income taxes, which might vary from community to community. Until January of 2011, 10% of the total income tax collections was dedicated to LGDF for distribution to municipalities and counties. And by the way, that's our income taxes that go down to the state, and that 10% share was what was coming back to the municipalities. So that percentage share of state income tax revenue was reduced from 10% to 6% in 2011. And due to the legislature and governor's office refusal to return the LGDF to the 10% share of our residents' income tax collected by the state, which has been the standard of revenue sharing since 1969, when the state income tax was first approved, Winfield has been shorted a total of $9.5 million of revenue over the past 15 years. Governor Pritzker's proposed 2027 budget keeps LGDF distribution flat at $2.3 billion statewide, cutting the formula rate from 6.47 to 6.28%. That prevents an additional $60 million in projected state income tax revenue from being distributed to municipalities and counties. So that puts more stress on a municipal's budget. In addition to funding everyday core services, for Illinois citizens, LGDF distributions play a role in keeping a low tax burden. Without LGDF, communities across Illinois would need to explore increases to other fees or taxes, including property taxes. We also have additional challenges, which of course we're all living with, is high inflation, rising commodity and labor costs, and we are dealing with the reduction in metro commuter parking revenue. So compared to pre-pandemic, we're down 45% in commuter traffic. So that loss of revenue is made up from the general fund, which reduces the funds available for other services. Our police pension costs, we expect increases from 1.1 million currently to 2 million over the next 5 years. And in addition to that, of course, is the challenge that each year at this time we have with potential legislative proposals that are challenging to say the least. There is one in particular that I'm going to talk a little bit about today. Just one, there are many, but this one in particular is a continuing unfunded mandate from Springfield that raised costs to not include funding in his attempt to provide more affordable housing, which, by the way, I believe affordable housing is a worthwhile cause for sure. Governor Pritzker proposed in this bill plan in March. This plan proposes tiered multifamily housing to be permitted by right in any residential zoning district statewide. That would drastically increase infrastructure replacement costs for municipalities to accommodate the capacity needs of multifamily housing. Most of Winfield's residential zoning is for single-family homes, and the existing infrastructure in those neighborhoods is not designed to support multifamily housing. Infrastructure, what I mean, water lines, gas lines, sewer lines, and so on. Give you a couple quick examples with this legislation that's proposed right now. There's actually 6 bills altogether. There are 5 that are Senate bills and 1 particular House bill. The House bills, inclusive of all the Senate bills in one. So think about your residence in Winfield. If you have a 7,500 square foot lot, which is what most of the lots in Winfield are, the newer legislation would allow for an 8-unit apartment building to be built on that size lot. If it was 2,500 square feet, it would allow for a 4-unit apartment building to be built on that same lot. What this does is it takes away from municipal entities the ability to do zoning regulation for their local community. So what that takes away also is the input from our residents to let us know when it comes to particular zoning issues, how they feel about them. And then at the same time allows for a municipality to make decisions at the local level. This would be removed and put at the state level. Impact fees would be the same thing. The state would set what the impact fees would be. So if you have a bigger development, as an example, for both your schools, parks, fire district, and so on, those impact fees can be important because of, let's say, an increase in the number of residents. In addition to that, it removes minimum parking requirements. We, as you know, have an overnight parking situation that we don't allow for overnight parking. This would override that, and we would not be able to do that. Or if this passes and an 8-flat or several 8-flats are built on your block, we could not control what the amount of parking regulation would be for those buildings. So that causes and could cause quite a bit of problems. ADUs, it's interesting, that's accessory dwelling units. We recently in Winfield just passed an ordinance that would allow for ADUs, accessory dwelling units, but in compliance with our regular zoning regulations. The proposal that's in this bill would not allow any municipal regulations to ADUs. You could not prevent them from being built, including the size or what the lot coverage would be or what the setbacks would be. So all in all, it's we're concerned about it, and all municipalities are concerned about it. And the reason is that we felt what should have been done instead of the stick method, it should have been the carrot method. And it should have been working with municipalities to build a better piece of legislation. So we're hopeful that the governor's office will see that and be willing now to sit down and work with us to come up with some good legislation that does address the need for more affordable housing. And certainly the state can help with that, with programs that they can provide, both on the financial side and on the capital side and so on. I'm going to move on. There's other legislation, like I mentioned, I could spend another half an hour going through a lot of bills, but that's all part of the process in every spring legislative session that's in Springfield. The important point here is to acknowledge that those challenges are what they are and to have a plan on how to mitigate their impact on the community, and more specifically, how to address those challenges without raising our residents' taxes. And I'll cover that more in strategic planning session. So I want to talk now about capital projects. And for the fiscal year 25 and 26, with our street improvement program, we did almost a $900,000 award contract for 1.10 miles of roadway on Churchill Road, Chartwell Drive, Rebecca Lane, and Brookside Drive. And we did the sewer televising project, which is $420,000, which was awarded for cleaning and televising sanitary sewers village-wide, which helps specify which sewers need the most attention going forward. I know those aren't really interesting projects, but I tell you, when it comes to making sure that the sewers run fine and all those other things are working properly,
That's a big deal.
it's one of those key things that we do. Riverwalk Park, Phase 3. That project will be approximately $1 million for the design and installation of an 8,000 square foot playground area, and as you know now, the gateway sign that is on the south end of Riverwalk Park along High Lake Road. That construction, by the way, is underway. So I'll talk a little bit more about that later on. Now for 26 and 27, which is the budget year we're starting actually on May 1st, we've got $10 million plan for capital projects. One of the bigger ones is the water main replacement project. Now the good news is we have virtually no lead pipes in town, which is wonderful. So what we're focused on though is replacing water mains that are old, and when I say old, some of them are 100 years old. So we've had some water main breaks and we're trying to address those with a larger project, and by being successful in terms of how we manage our finances, we built up the water and sewer fund so that we can expend a lot more money, do these projects with a lot more efficiency and cost effectiveness of doing bigger projects, and we're going to be doing that over the next several years. Sanitary sewer lining for $400,000, lift station improvements for $400,000, and the Beecher Bridge Phase 2 design. So that's Beecher Road, which is obviously west of Winfield Road, the bridge past Lions Park. $650,000 is for the design portion. Construction will start in 2027. That project will be probably $5 million plus when it's started and done. That's a complete replacement of that bridge. So, as you know, we have our public works facility besides a lot of residents that live on the other side. So what it'll be is half the bridge at a time will be done. The other half will be allowed for traffic to go past back and forth. And then lastly, one of the bigger projects too is the Municipal Center and Police Department design phase and initial construction phase, $6.2 million. And behind me, you can start to see some of the renderings. It's a prairie-style building, and the police station will be on the eastern end of that, along with the, I'm trying to think of the Sally Port, which is, it looks like a big garage door, but it's a big area where an ambulance can go in, police cars can go in. So if we have an individual there we have to incarcerate for a period of time, it's a safe process to get them inside, close the door, and that individual or the police officer is not exposed to any public or potential interference. And it's also safer for the individual that's going to be apprehended. So this facility will definitely address what our needs are here in the village. If I had Police Chief Shar come up here, he could spend another half an hour talking about all of the issues and needs that we have. This will bring us up to speed as far as where we should be in terms of our ability to do policing the way we'd like to be doing it now, in conformity with all of the changes that have happened, mostly over the last decade, to be honest with you. So again, not only that, it will provide safety for the employees of the village and be much more effective in terms of how we service our constituents here in the community. That will be located basically where High Lake Road meets Jewel Road. So corner comes together there, and it'll actually take a little piece of the parking lot that's built there now, which is the parking area for the 3-story building that Northwestern has built across from Village Hall. So another thing that the village really wants to focus on and does continually is to play an important role in supporting our local businesses. And I'll give you a couple examples of that. The village's ongoing commitment to support of the Greater Winfield Chamber of Commerce and our facade grant program extension. The village's 26-27 budget contains $50,000 in matching funds for facade improvement grants. And the change that we made is this is available for businesses throughout the village now. Burger Bros, one of everybody's favorite restaurants, I'm sure, was recently awarded $450,000 in TIF 1 funds to support the expansion of its existing restaurant by 1,100 square feet to increase seating, kitchen capacity, and storage. In conjunction, the building owner was granted $60,000 to redevelop the storefront where Burger Bros is located, and that's basically the southern side of Burger Bros. That construction will probably start within hopefully the next 2 or 3 weeks, and they anticipate potentially being closed for a 60-day period. So we hope it goes quick, and they're looking forward to it. I'm sure a lot of people in town are also having a larger area to accommodate our residents. Winfield Station is still very successful, leasing on at about 95 to 100%. Sweet Reserve Bakery has also been a great success for the first tenant in our Northwestern CDH mixed-use building, thanks to the tenant funding support provided through TIF 2 funds. And in December of 2025, the village approved the final plans and plat for Tavala, a 140,000 square foot, $35 million meal distribution center. You can see that up there on the left side. So I don't know if you've seen the commercials on TV for Tavala, but they have this prepared food that you stick in looks like a microwave. You just scan it and it cooks the food exactly the way it should be. So we're really excited to have them come to Winfield. In addition, and by the way, they're in the southeast corner of County Farm and St. Charles Road. So that was that big empty field out there that's been vacant for a long time. So benefits of that development include $375,000 in projected real estate tax revenue and $300,000 in projected sales tax revenue, 125 created jobs, and of course meal options for our Winfield residents. We just had the ribbon cutting ceremony this past Thursday with an anticipated opening date of early 2027. And this will produce an additional $100,000 in tax revenue for D94 and then not any one new student. So all the development we're doing, what I'm trying to point out here is the development that we're doing is producing revenue to support all the taxing bodies, including the Park District, including the Fire District, including the school districts. And of course, the school districts take 70% of our tax bill. So by doing this, again, it's important to understand that when we try to do commercial development, we're doing it not only just to serve our community and to bring more amenities to the community, whether it's restaurants or retail, but it also has the plus side to it, which is the real estate taxes. The more of that happens, the more sales tax that happens, means the less likelihood that we're going to be raising your real estate taxes. And that's my objective, and that's our board's objective overall, and that's what we've been working hard to do. The village also continues to work hard to bring new commercial development, retail development to Winfield, and our hard work has paid off. The EAV, or the Equalized Assessed Value, this is for the entire village, has gone from $392,600,000 in 2019 to $549 million overall in 2025. That's an increase of $156 million or 40%. That's a significant increase in a short period of time for our small community. And at an average resident overall tax bill of 7.8%, that equates to about a little bit over $3 million in new tax revenue since 2019. And our 5 school districts are the biggest benefactors of that increased EAV to the tune of over $500,000 in additional tax revenue per year. So I want to talk a little bit about Town Center and what our vision has been and still is. So we published the Town Center Vision 3.0 land use concept plan that provides a digestible and visual overview of the long-term development policy for downtown Winfield. The village continues its tradition of proactive land use planning at a time when no opportunities abound for private and public investment in town center. Excuse me. The village is now in the process of implementing that plan. The plan set a path for Winfield to grow its tax base responsibly while protecting the natural environment. And one of the latest opportunities to execute on the Town Center Vision Plan is the proposed Winfield Reserve multifamily 155-unit apartment building by Synergy Development Company. And you can see it up there right now. This proposed development supports the goals of that vision by bringing in new residents to the village's town center, which will also provide support to those businesses and attract new businesses to Winfield. It will also assist in making our town center more of a destination for our community. And as you can see on the slides behind me, onto my side, this will be a high-end apartment complex. They were also the developer who built Winfield Station, and that has been a very successful development for Winfield. The other thing I wanted to talk about, so when we're talking about this particular development in Winfield Station, the combined between the two of them will be over 300 apartments, about 315 total. There's another one on Winfield Road that just opened up last year, 10 units. So there's always a difference of opinion about, you know, we should keep the town as it is, or we should develop more things in town. I think this is a very good match. So what we did to get this development off the ground is we worked with Metro to do a lot swap. And because of the reduction in the number of commuters. That lot swap, plus working with Northwestern for the sale of the Snyder building and the lots around it. There was also a single residence property which has since been torn down, which is owned by Northwestern. We were able to pull all those together to basically provide the opportunity for this development. So why is that important? It's important for density. So to attract restaurants or to attract businesses to our town center, every broker will tell you, you need density, especially when it's your town center. You need walkable traffic for those businesses to feel comfortable with the fact that, hey, if I come to town, I know I'm going to have enough people who are going to support my business. So that is also a key reason why we were working hard to get this particular development ready to go. In fact, the board's already approved it, and it is ready to go. And I'll talk a little bit what's holding that up in a few minutes. So while we're on the subject of planning, let's talk about what the village does relative to strategic planning. In the past year, the village board, in partnership with leadership staff, updated the village's strategic plan for the period of 2026 through 2029. And this new plan retained the previous 4 strategic priority areas of the following: improved sustainable revenue, effective communication, maintain quality of life, and community development. The strategic goals and the desired outcomes under each priority were updated, eliminating those accomplished and adding new ones that emerged from the strategic planning workshop, decisions involving new stakeholders. I've talked a lot about improving sustainable revenue, so I won't go over that too much more. Effective communication, we're always looking for ways that we are able to communicate what's going on in terms of what is the village doing, what programs are out there, but also to improve the communication from the residents back to us on the board and to our staff. That's an important aspect, to be able to understand what's important to our community and how we can be successful in moving those plans forward. Maintaining quality of life, that's another key aspect, and part of that, not just maintaining, but also improving quality of life. When you look at the Riverwalk Park, when we've added the band shell, and part of that was a big negotiation with Northwestern Medicine, which took 7 years to get us there. But part of that development agreement, obviously it brought in the new parking deck. It also brought in the 3-story across from Village Hall. But the agreement specified that the first floor of that 3-story had to be a retail restaurant. It also provided for additional commercial or retail restaurant as a portion of that parking deck. It also allowed that parking deck to be available for use when the village or the community has events. So as an example, when we have our music nights, our Riverwalk music nights, that deck is completely open. It'll accommodate 800 vehicles and no parking charge. Building that park and having that band show and making that a central point of bringing people to town center is another key aspect of our overall town center vision plan, and it's all a piece of what we're trying to do. Can you go back a couple to where, next one there? Okay, so obviously this is visionary, but in addition to where the 7-Eleven is currently, which is going to go away at some point shortly, I hope shortly. I've had discussions with Northwestern about that, and we're trying to get that done. Where John's Buffet used to be, or if you're not familiar with that, the empty lot that's just west of the 3-story, and where Village Hall is. That's all lined up for 4 new structures to be built, again for retail restaurant to be there. In addition to that, there would be a public plaza, which would be part of that plan. So all of this is part of the vision plan that we have for our town center, and it's an important piece. Each of those are important pieces to get us there. The outcomes continue to be monitored in the form of key outcome indicators and measurable targets with the implementation of the SMART goal framework. The process provides staff with direction on the use of village resources and guiding the village towards accomplishing its mission and vision. We also believe in community partnerships. The 2 hallmarks of a successful community are cooperation and partnerships. They are the essential ingredients to achieving consensus on financial matters, planning, and economic development. These trademarks are also vital in delivering services such as public works and public safety in a cost-effective manner. And finally, the cooperation and partnerships are indispensable for governing in a way that offers citizen input while also reaching timely and responsible decisions. Here in Winfield, I have found nearly all of our citizens and businesses buy into this approach to governance. And I'm convinced this is one of the key reasons people want to live and work in Winfield. Here's 8 examples of that cooperation. The Greater Winfield Chamber of Commerce, under the new leadership of Board President Julie Micklin, is regularly bringing together local businesses to network and support community economic development initiatives. In the area of public safety, the Winfield Fire Protection District and the village have collaborated to address a number of various issues. The village worked with Metro to swap parking lots owned by each entity. The exchange of properties allows the assemblage of necessary land for synergy to develop the Winfield Reserve residential project in town center. Village board members negotiated with Northwestern Medicine, CDH, to have their normally tax-exempt new parking deck to be placed on the tax rolls for 20 years, bringing substantial new revenue for development, benefiting all taxing bodies. Additionally, that partnership yielded the development and soon to be completed Winfield Riverwalk and its band shell. For both efficiency and cost considerations, the village partners with Winfield Township Road Department and Milton Township's Road Department for snow plowing and road maintenance services. The village has partnered with DuPage County, the DuPage Water Commission, the City of West Chicago, and with IGAs, intergovernmental agreements on a variety of issues. Winfield's Riverwalk is our local walking, biking segment of the 26-mile West Branch DuPage River Trail, providing picturesque views and bridges to appreciate nature. And using federal monies, this project was made possible by the partnership of the village and the DuPage County Forest Preserve District. The village continues to partner with community not-for-profits such as the Knights of Columbus, the Lions Club, and the Winfield Foundation to assist in the support of community events. And the village and the Winfield Park District work together to provide the venues for those events. While we are rightly proud of these examples of cooperation among governmental bodies, residents, businesses, and volunteers, there remains a noticeable exception in Winfield's otherwise collaborative landscape. School District 34 decided not to reach an agreement with the village for their financial benefit from Tax Increment Finance District TIF 2. The village offered School District 3494 and all local taxing bodies a share of the future TIF proceeds the village had negotiated with CDH instead of waiting until the TIF expires in 2044. Sadly, the school district rejected that substantial offer and sued the village to block TIF 2 in 2021. Now, more than 4.5 years later, the lawsuit drags on. As School District 34 and 94 have filed to petition the Illinois Supreme Court to hear and review the unanimous decision by the Third Circuit Court of Appeals, which ruled in favor of the village of Winfield. And that's on top of the summary judgment by the Circuit Court judge prior to the appeals court hearing that case. Unfortunately, Winfield residents and businesses are the ones continuing to bear the cost of this litigation. Today I call upon School District 34 to reflect on the wonderful examples of partnership and cooperation that infuse our growing community. Now I'm going to move on to some fun things that we have coming up. On Memorial Day, May 25th, starting at 8 a.m., there will be a ceremony celebrating our veterans and recognizing America's 250th anniversary. So that's at Creekside Park, which is on the south side of the tracks, just past the Shell station, on the east side of Winfield Road, and there's a memorial brick edifice over there. That's the area where that will be held. And we're going to have quite a few things added this year. So a couple of those are, we will have reenactors that will be explaining trunks that will be on display courtesy of Cantini. And those trunks will have a lot of things, including uniforms and other items from the Revolutionary War, the Civil War, both the North and the South side, and World War I and Desert Storm. And in addition to that, we're going to have a very interesting speaker, Michael Gooddale. So Michael was enlisted in the U.S. Army, and he was deployed to Somalia as part of the Task Force Rangers to apprehend a local warlord. And he was part of that 17-hour firefight that occurred, which was pretty devastating to the forces that were there. And you probably would be familiar with that because it's from the book and the movie Black Hawk Down. So he was actually one of the wounded soldiers in that particular engagement, and he will be the keynote speaker. In addition to that, we're going to have the Winfield Middle School Band. So they'll be providing some music for the event. And then also in addition to that, we're going to have a nice big large tent in case the weather's more inclement, wood chairs, beverages and snacks. And so encourage all of you, if you don't have anything planned for that day, at least in the morning, it's a good opportunity to get out and celebrate Memorial Day and honor our veterans. Also coming up after that, we have the Winfield Criterium and Summerfest, which will be on Sunday, July 19th. And that is also right at the corner of Beecher and Winfield Roads, which we do close off Winfield Road for that event. So at that event, there's a couple of posters up here which have more detail. One, which of course is on the Criterium and Summerfest. So we'll have 8 food trucks. We'll have beverage tent. We will have a artisan market. We will have a huge kids play area with inflatables. And in addition to that, we will also have over 600 pro and amateur cyclists. Criterium is a timed race, so they're all timed races. So it's a great event. This again is our 6th year, and if you haven't been there before, you should come out and enjoy it. So. River Oak Park, I always like to go over this so people are aware of what's there. It's quite a long park. 2 picnic pavilions, a variety of workout equipment, bocce ball court, 2 bags or cornhole stations, pollinator gardens, which by the way, last year pollinator gardens looked great. We have a canoe, kayak launch, and of course the band shell. And currently, a brand new 8,000 square foot playground area is under construction and expected to be complete before the first concert of our summer concert series on June 12th. So keep our fingers crossed, it's going to get done. Next up is our Winfield Riverwalk Music Nights. So this year, we're going to have 6 concerts, 8 bands, and food and beverages will be sold by the Winfield Lions Club and Winfield Foundation. Free admission, free parking. We have a beverage tent, and we usually have 2 food trucks there also. So bring your lawn chairs and blankets. And the dates are on June 12th, 26th, June 10th and 24th, or July 10th and 24th, and August 7th and August 21st. Again, it's up there, and it's also, I think it was just in the last newsletter that we had also. So if you are wanting to make sure you know the dates, you can always check the website, the village website too. So we got a really good group of bands coming up. So hopefully you'll get out to at least 1, 2, 3, or all 6 of those guys.
If you like Led Zeppelin, Kashmir was really something last time.
Super.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the last one we have, Bruce in the USA, is a Bruce Springsteen band which travels the country. So we're excited to get them here. And basically all the bands up here are good. I mean, they're all very good. So, and it's going to be a great summer for music. And of course, good old days. We don't want to forget about good old days. It is the 59th year.
It's the 58th. It was started in 1968, according to the Winfield history book.
Okay.
So
50.
there's always a little discrepancy and disagreement, but I'm going with 58.
All right.
Yeah.
So, you know, this at a point in time was basically the only event we had here in Winfield. So, you know, it's grown. It's had its up and downs, but really in the last, 5 to 10 years, it's been a fantastic event for our community. This year it's on September 4th through the 6th.
11th through 13th.
Okay, thank you. 11th through the 13th, no, you're still corrected. 11th through the 13th. So it's obviously 3 days of fun, packed music, food and drink, and activities for all age groups. So there's a lot of things going on, and usually in the glimpses is the place to go to see that whole full page of all the schedule of events and what happens on each day. So, and that's a nice fall event for us. And then lastly, the Winter Wonderful Fest, 3rd year, December 5th. That's right by Village Hall, and that's our tree lighting ceremony. We have a big tent, Santa Claus, vendors in the tent. It's a heated tent, by the way, and I keep my fingers crossed that we have snow again this year because that made it so much more fun this past year. It's not fun like this, so anyway, snow makes it great. I want to point out to you that over the last, probably it's 5 or 6 years now, we've been able to, because of our financial position, bring to town additional events. So that's the key, again, for what we're trying to do to give back to our community. So the Criterium, the park, the Riverwalk Park, the Riverwalk Music Nights, Good Old Days, Winter Wonderful Fest. So we really have something going on virtually every part of every season of the year now. So, and that's been a goal of mine, and I'm so pleased to see that we're able to do that. And we're able to do that because we're financially sound. So that's one of the key focus points that I'll always keep on top of, because as long as we do that, we can continue to bring these good events to you. And lastly, I want to say a big thank you to our village board of trustees and to all of our volunteers serving on committees and commissions. And also to village manager Evan Summers, who, by the way, just completed his first full year here in Winfield. Also, to his staff, of course, for ensuring our village runs smoothly, and Police Chief Dave Shar, and our officers who keep our village and our residents safe. our first Public Works Director, Rahat Bahri, who keeps all the essential services we depend on every day in fine working order, and our Community Development Director, Peter Crummins, who manages Winfield's planning and zoning and economic development. Winfield is a truly desirable place to live, and also a great place to operate your business. We're adjacent to more than 3,000 acres of forest preserve, bike trails that connect to locations throughout DuPage County. Neighbor to Canteen, a UP train town, some of the top schools in Illinois, 18 parks, one of the highest rated hospitals in Illinois, and one of the safest communities in Illinois. What's there's not to love about Winfield? I mean, come on, it's a great community. So as the saying goes, it does take a village, and all of us together make Winfield a place to discover. Thank you all for coming today. And again, thank you for the Greater Winfield Chamber of Commerce for sponsoring today's events. And if anybody has a question or two that you want to ask, I'd be happy to try to answer it for you. And don't be shy. So, yes?
There used to be a grocery store in Winfield long ago. Now there's not really any place to walk to get groceries. Is there anything in the future planning, especially if we're adding residents and things like that? Is there anything possible for a grocery store?
So the area that we've looked at is the northwest corner of Roosevelt and Winfield Road. We actually had options on the properties to work with a developer. Unfortunately, the economic conditions, that was right around the 2010 period, 2015 period, where things were not going too well, and brick and mortar wasn't doing too good, especially more recently. The challenge now is, with Amazon really being as big as it is, as you know, a lot of the shopping centers have shuttered, a lot of brick and mortar stores have closed, and it's difficult. We've tried, trust me, we have tried to find an anchor tenant, which could be a grocery store as an example, and we have not been successful yet. Part of the issue too is they look at a number of different things. It's nice to have forest preserves right around you, but the problem is what most of those businesses will look at is the rooftop count. How many people are in a specific area? And then the other issue is, what's the proximity of my other stores? So how close is that? I mean, I actually reached out to Benny's. So I thought, great sales tax, and it's a store that people would love to go to, I'm sure. But they've got one in Glen Ellen, and they've got one in Geneva, so that was some guys all over. And even with grocery stores, as you know, that's been a real change in flux in terms of unless you're dealing with at least a small localized chain that has at least, I'd say, 6 to 8 locations, you run a risk with the store opening and then not lasting. And the bigger ones are very, very picky about what locations they pick out. So we're still going to try, but at this point, it's a challenge. So yes.
Has Winfield been approached, and what are your, measures in place to prevent data centers being built?
Well, I think the biggest one is we really don't have any available space. That location that Tavala is going in pretty much wipes that out. The only other space that's available is further south on Winfield Road past the Casey's. That's currently unincorporated, so we don't control that. That would be DuPage County. We've had a lot of interest in that area for residential development, but so far that hasn't materialized to move forward. But other than that, in terms of, in Winfield, there is no space really to do that. So, any other questions? All right, seeing none, thank you all for coming again. Appreciate it.